Hi, everybody. Welcome to class. This is week number 5, and it is February 10th through 16th of 2019. On this first slide, you just see some quick instructions for setting up your BB Collaborate screen. If you haven't done that yet, you can go ahead and do that now, but it's the same thing we've been doing, so it should be pretty familiar. It's just a quick reminder to do so if you haven't already. All right, so this week we're going to be focusing on deep learning and its relationship to the community of inquiries framework. Quick reminder just before we get going, make sure that you remove any kind of distractions, close your door, put your phone on silent, just so that you can focus for the time being. And I'm just going to run a quick quality check. Make sure that it's recording in the upper left-hand corner, the visual check, make sure you can see quality check and the frame around the side, or the frame on the outside of the slide, and can you hear me accurately? If you can, go ahead and raise your hand for me, just so that I know that you... Fantastic. And you can all lower your hands. Thanks, guys. All right, so our textbook for this week, our content for this week can be found in chapters 5 and 6 of Thinking Collaboratively by Randy Garrison. And learning objectives. So by the end of this session, my goals for you guys will be to, 1, identify the 2 key principles for fostering an environment for deep learning. 2, explain the significance of the 3 elements of the community of inquiry, or the COI framework. And number 3, convey the purpose of the practical inquiry, or PI model, and its components. Okay, so principles of deep learning. So there are 2 main principles of deep learning, and that would be, number 1, to ensure that the workload is reasonable. I'm sure that everybody is familiar with at least some point when they felt like the workload was too much in a class or in an environment of work, and it's hard to feel like you're doing things effectively. It's the case. And number 2, assess students at the level you want them to perform. This will prepare them to meet the expectations you've set for them. Students can't meet expectations if they haven't been prepared, so when creating assignments, it's really necessary to keep in mind what the end goal for those students will be. And this really goes back to what we talked about in EDT-8130 with the understanding by design method. All right, so for a quick activity, I just want you to give a short answer typed into the text chat. Why do you guys think that so many classes fail to follow the principles of deep learning? Virtual listeners, go ahead and feel free to just include this in your missed class summary. And live participants, go ahead and type that in the text chat when you get a moment. All right, Candace says, instructors are trying to cover all the information rather than the big ideas. Candace says, instructors do not know how, and Annika kind of agrees with Melinda, they don't know. And those are all exactly right. A couple notes I made is, I think sometimes instructors get overwhelmed with too much content to get through in too short of a time frame, which goes back to big ideas would really be helpful, like Candace mentioned. And I think also it's easier to assess students for reproduction and rote memorization, like on quizzes with multiple choice. They're easier to grade, and it takes less time to create those things. So sometimes it's easier to evaluate students on those kinds of principles as well. Okay, so the principles of deep learning. So deep learning is defined by students' deeper level of engagement with content. When classes don't follow these principles, the primary goal does not reflect understanding, meaning making, or diagnosing and correcting misconceptions. This kind of transformative engagement with information is how students can really develop those higher order thinking skills and content mastery. Okay, so enter the community of inquiry. The community of inquiry, which was originally popularized in the 80s by Matthew Lipman, was really based on John Dewey's idea that students need to use reflective strategies in order to achieve meaningful learning. But he also believed that in order to foster critical thinking, reflection must take place in a social setting. So one way to define inquiry is collaborative problem solving through the respective discourse, reflective thinking, and interactive questioning. So inquiry is always collaborative, and it's a socially situated approach to really reevaluating the information you already know, to develop a new understanding of what you think you know. Okay, so there are three elements of the COI framework: the cognitive, social, and teaching presences. First one, the cognitive presence. Cognitive presence within a community of inquiry framework really focuses on how the group and the individuals engage with the information and process. So I was going to have you guys do a quick activity here, but for time's sake, I'm going to go ahead and just skip the activity part and show you guys a brief explanation. So cognitive presence, it really goes hand in hand with what they call the primary inquiry model, which really illustrates how the complex cognitive process works. You have four phases within that. You have the trigger, which is something external that'll prompt a change or a reflection of a perspective or a perception, which moves into the explore phase, which happens internally, and individuals reconsider what they know based on this new information, which they can then integrate or make meaning of, and they can mentally make it work to apply to new contexts. And then that, when they then go back and share it, enters the resolution phase, where they kind of repeat the cycle through discourse and reflection all over again. Number two, social presence. So the social presence with the community of inquiry framework really focuses on the interaction between participants and how they identify collectively, and the development of the relationships among the individuals in the group. So you can really break it down into three components. You can break it down into one, the purpose of the inquiry, so what's bringing students together. Number two, it's important to ensure the openness of communication that's respectful, and that's important for group cohesion. And number three, the interpersonal relationships should grow over time to increase trust and openness within the community. Something else that's important about social presence is it can really drive motivation. Social presence is key in the community of inquiry framework because humans are motivated to connect with others in social environments where they feel accepted and valued. So in these climates, members can feel emotionally fulfilled and maintain their interest in the inquiry that's happening. And finally, the teaching presence. So teaching presence has three responsibilities that ensure the functioning of the community, and that's the design, facilitation, and direction for the other two elements, which are the cognitive and social elements. And these three responsibilities give the give the community's inquiries structure and direction, and it keeps the discussion from moving too far from the topic at hand or concluding without sufficient conversation. So yes, it's true that the instructor usually will take on some of the role for the teaching presence, but it's important to know that it's not their sole responsibility. It's a universal responsibility of everyone within the community to help maintain a teaching presence. And this keeps participants active, invested, and engaged. So that teaching presence should also be appropriate for the participants that are involved based on their level of knowledge and their abilities. So I'm going to go ahead and have you guys do this really quick activity. Using the text tool in the upper left-hand corner, I want you to put A, B, and C on the correct presence on the diagram there. So you can use the text tool or a pencil, but match the letter to the key trait, or match the letter for the key trait to the diagram. You guys there? Oh, A. Okay, I see one. Social presence goes with A, that's right. C Oh, I see it now. B is in cognitive presence. Engagement with content, it's a little hard to see. And then C is teaching presence, engaging with goals and direction. That's great job, guys. All right. So I just want to go over quickly how these elements work together. So you have social presence, which is the participant engagement, and you have cognitive presence, which is the content engagement. So those two are responsible for supporting the discourse that happens within that community. Teaching presence and social presence are what set up the climate within the community. Cognitive presence and teaching presence create the selection for the actual content that is being inquired. And all of these things come together to create a valuable educational experience. Okay, so I have a quick group case study for you guys to do. I'm going to have you follow the link to the Google Slides that I'll paste in the text chat here in just a moment. And I'm going to have you guys go into breakout groups as well. To go into your little breakout group, when I open it, you're going to use this door that's just to the right of the group number. And because we have such a small group, I'm going to have everybody go to group 1. For the unique scenario that I'm going to give each group, I would like for you guys to determine and explain which of the elements of the COI framework is underdeveloped, and I want you to make at least one suggestion for how to fix that issue, okay? All right, let me post. There's the link, and then give me just a minute and I'll open some breakout groups. I allow you guys. Oh, it does reassign you. I don't want that to happen. There we go. Okay, and okay. And I'm also going to go ahead and give you guys a timer, and I will give you guys 3 minutes. The timer has started. Oh, and a quick note to virtual listeners, while the live participants finish up, I just want to throw out there that you can feel free to follow that same link in the chat window and go ahead and pick one of the other scenarios to include in your Miss Class summary. Okay, welcome back, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and share that application with you guys, and if one of you guys can go ahead and give a little bit of information about why you guys chose what you did, that would be great. Give me just a moment. Okay. There we go. Okay. So would one of you guys like to speak?
Okay, I will.
Thank
This
you.
is Melinda. Okay, so we talked about what we thought needed more development in this scenario was teaching presence because the instructor put them into groups, which was social presence, gave them a topic, which was cognitive, sorry, and the suggestions for improvement to create more of a teaching presence would be to give them maybe prompts to discuss, explain to them more about what about the topic. So he gives them a topic, but what exactly are they supposed to discuss about the topic? Maybe give them some questions to answer.
Great. That's exactly what I wanted you guys to get out of that. So excellent job, guys. Is there anything else you guys want to add, or do you feel pretty good about that explanation? Candace? Annika? I can't hear you guys. Do you guys want to go ahead and type that in the text chat for me? I can't seem to escape audio issues. I apologize. She did do a good job. And Candace says the improved teaching will result in improved cognitive presence. That's exactly right. Thank you guys so much. So give me just a second and I will stop sharing and I will open our web session back up. Okay. All right. So excellent job, guys. Thanks so much. All right. So in summary, I feel like you guys really put what we've talked to the test as part of your case study. So in summary, using the community of inquiry framework can really help in the development and evaluation of learning experiences that'll ensure support for an environment that fosters deep learning and it yields satisfied participants. And that's all I really have for you guys. Do you guys have any questions for me? You can either put them in the text chat or you can come on the microphone. And virtual listeners, feel free to put any questions you have in your Miss Class summary as well. And it doesn't look like there's any questions. Okay, thank you so much. Feel free to let me know if you guys decide you do have questions. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks so much, guys.